Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of Studio Stories. So, first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Grasha Non, and I'm an artist from the Philippines. I recently just finished art school last 2017, and for the longest time, I always wanted to share my art and my insights online, but it has taken me some years to get used to learning art and learning life. So I think now is the time that I really want to start doing something like this. So for this episode, I want to talk about how I overcome my fears when it comes to art making. Before I talk about this topic, I'd like to talk about the piece that I'm doing. So this is actually a piece, a watercolor piece with two eyes that is placed in the sky with a lot of stars and a grassland. So I see this image just like a start, like the universe is staring back at you and just telling you to just do it. I mean, everything around this world is full of possibilities and a lot of things can happen. And that's one of the mindsets that I think helped me a lot when it comes to overcoming fears. So the first fear that I had when I first started making art was I could never learn it. Art is a talent and I'm never going to be talented enough. For the longest time, people around me and my parents basically or some relatives always told me that art is a talent. You cannot possibly do it. And from the perspective of a child, wanting to learn about art, you just believe it. But the thing is, once you start making art, you will know that art is a skill, meaning it's not like talent that you were born with it, like it's given to you. It's something innate, like a pre-programmed thing. No, it's not. It's a skill that you build through time and you improve through your practice. And I learned to believe that art is a skill when I started seeing improvements in my work. In the first week, there wasn't any, but after a few months of doing it with my friends and finally with a teacher and some YouTube tutorials, I was able to be more confident about it and have the courage to detox my system of the belief that art is a talent. No, it's not. It's a skill you can learn. The next fear that I had was the fear of making mistakes. Now, this was a long time to get over with. My fear of that started because I had a low self-esteem when I started making art, that every time I make a mistake, I would redo the thing over and over again. And this was actually heightened when I first entered the university and took up an arts degree, because everyone around me was so freaking amazing. And it was so freaking easy to tell myself that I was the worst. Well, in fact, I wasn't. And what happened to me then was I hammered and pressured myself to be better. And the way that I did it was every time I made a mistake, I would scrap it. I would scrap it over and over again until 10 times until I get it right. But what happened with that was a lot of wasted effort. And the thing was, the first thing that I ever did in those 10 repetitions was actually the best, because the first thing that you ever start is your best effort. You're not tired, you're not really tainted by anything, you're just starting. And if you make a mistake on your first try, it's okay. And that's a thing that I learned the hard way. I had to go through like 2 years of hell hammering, self-pressuring, just to really see that every mistake that I make is also a contribution to my own improvement in art. Don't pressure yourself. Find a way around the mistake and accept it, and try to try to put it in your art, because a lot of great art are also created with mistakes. And as I go along with it, within my fourth year of college, I was just like, heck it, I'm just gonna put this mistake on the canvas and I'm just gonna work with it. And I ended up, producing one of my best works, and I ended up wasting less time. And it was a heck a lot more fun rather than redoing the same thing over and over again and burning yourself out. You might find yourself like at a point on where, oh my god, I've actually gone through this mistake and I actually made a good work, and you're gonna be patting yourself on the back and saying, yes, I didn't waste any time. You are always gonna encounter a lot of fears, and one of the ways that I like to combat all of that extra unnecessary fears that I feel is having fun. My first mentor in art was a very eccentric lady, but she was so unique. I think she felt that I was really a very careful person when I was doing art because I was afraid of making mistakes. So she highly encouraged me to have fun, and she channeled that having fun with me, like picking up references that I like to draw and people I like to draw. And she would always ask me questions on, do I find it fun, do I like it, and I would always say yeah. And when I started feeling that I'm having fun, or I'm investing positive energy in my work, and even if it's still hard to do it, but I'm having fun with it, I'm willing to stick through 8 hours of drawing to 24 hours of painting. And that's one thing that I find most valuable when you're starting your process, because when you find it within yourself to channel that want and that fun in your art, I think you're gonna last through this, because art is a very long process. It's not only like a day job, it's a life. So if you are always experiencing a lot of fear when you're starting, just take a breather. Breathe and think about what you want to do. Hype yourself up a bit, and remember that courage is walking fear. So it's entirely normal for you to be fearful at first, but when you drag that fear and you walk with it and you do your work, I guarantee that you could really see good works. And art is really fun, and I do encourage you guys to start doing it if you're afraid. And if you reached a point on where you can't do it again and again, try to say to yourself that I've come to this point, I can do this again and again. And a little bit of self-love, self-motivation isn't going to hurt, as long as you are always going to be aware that your art is a part of yourself, and you should also be kinder to it in a lot of ways. So I hope that a lot of things that I've shared might help you guys and might motivate you to do well with your art. And I do cheer you on, so you can do it. If you like this video and my art, give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. I'll be uploading a lot of stories again on a weekly basis. Also, I am doing Inktober, and if you want to see that, I upload my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter on a daily basis. If you want to ask me questions, advice, you can sound off below or ask me on Twitter or anything that works for you. And I hope that you have a good day. And thank you so much for watching the first episode of Studio Stories. See you next week.